Cuba, it's me. Welcome to episode 173 of the W.I.L.L.I.W show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. Now, today I wanted to talk about my legacy, or legacies in general. What is the best way that you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered for always having the best matches? Do you want to be remembered by the boys as being someone that they always look forward to working? Do you want to be remembered by the fans as always giving a good show? How do you wish to be remembered? Me personally, when and if I die, obviously, unless something happens, we're all supposed to die. And if I do die, how do I want my legacy to be remembered as a wrestler? Well, that's basically the whole reason I had for doing this Willow show. I hope maybe nobody cares about it really now, but I'm hoping that if ever something happens to me, people will go back and watch my shows and see how I felt and how passionate I was and have my good memories and share them. And then also for my family and for my cameraman, they can always go back and look and it's all there. It's all documented. I always thought about writing a book, but I thought, hey, this might be a little bit easier. Just do one show a day. But as far as my legacy goes, that has changed over the time. At first, I just wanted to be a wrestler. I didn't care if I made it to WWE, if I wrestled only 5 matches. I just loved wrestling and I wanted to be a wrestler and I wanted to accomplish that. Now, also, I gotta point out, it was very hard for me. I played a lot of sports growing up, but I was very slow. I was born with my feet were turned in wrong, and every time I got new shoes, I had to go get like these inserts in there because my toes turned in wrong and my heels arched up wrong. So that gave me a lot of problems. I always walked weird. And my hamstrings are too short for my legs. And then also I was born with a hunchback. So I always had back problems and I was always super skinny and I was also super slow and awkward and like my motor skills and I was just like I ran really silly and like but I always was smart and I always tried my best to keep up and I wouldn't let that slow me down. Um, so it was to me it was an accomplishment to be able to play an athletic sport at such a high level. I played a lot of baseball and hockey and soccer and that kind of stuff growing up, and I was really good at baseball because it's not as about speed and power as much as also a thinking man sport. But when it comes to wrestling, I always wanted to be the one that worked the hardest. See, but in my younger years, I didn't realize working smarter is actually better than working hard, but I always wanted to prove to people that said wrestling was fake that when they watched me wrestle, they're like, there was nothing fake about that. I always tried to take the moves as hard as I could, which my body is upset at me now for doing so, because I just wanted the fans to go, oh my god, did you see that? He really did get hurt. And that's all I cared about was how I took the moves. I wanted realism. And I always wanted everyone to say, you know what, he didn't have any charisma. Well, looking back now, he didn't have any charisma or he didn't know how to play up the audience, but he worked really hard. And I always just wanted the respect of the other wrestlers because I was young. I was only 18 when I started, and there wasn't a lot of young guys back then, back in 2000. And I just always wanted to be one of the boys and always just wanted the guys to say, yeah, I like wrestling you. I just wanted a compliment. I didn't get a lot of compliments growing up, and it's so funny now when I do get compliments, I'm like shy and sheepish about it. I don't know how to take it, but it really does mean a lot. But I just always wanted any kind of compliment. It meant the world to me, and I took it very seriously. I trained very hard, but my legacy has changed over the years. Like now, I do it more for the fans. Like there's a million people out there that can have 5-star matches, and I feel like back in the day, I kept up with everybody. But now it's like, well, that never got me over. What's getting me over? So now I play my character different, and I feel that's getting me over. But I always just want people to remember me by as being a nice guy. Like I was always shy and I'm like socially awkward, but I was always polite and nice to everyone, and I don't think I had that too many problems in the locker rooms with anybody or anything like that. And I got ribbed on a lot when I first came in, but I was a good sport about it and I didn't cry about it. And then also as the fans, I want them to remember that they at least got their money's worth. Maybe back in the day, they would say they got to see a lot of some cool moves, but then in my later years here in the last 4 or 5 years, they know that they got entertained and that when they went to the show, they would remember me because I stood out for being something different. But I also want to be remembered as being someone that was always respectful to the fans and always took the time if they wanted a picture or talk just to talk to them or an autograph. I always obliged like that, and I always just felt happy that people would want to talk to me. So basically, for me, I mean, I guess there's a bunch of things. But the legacy I want to leave is just how much I loved wrestling. When I'm dead and gone, I want people to remember that I love the cameraman, and then other than that, I loved wrestling the most. That's all I cared about. I think and sleep and eat and breathe it. Even though I only do it like once a month now, like when I go on social media, that's what I'm looking at is wrestling. When I'm watching TV, it's pretty much only wrestling. Like I don't really watch that much, or it's usually like podcasts about wrestling and like shoot interviews and stuff. But like I just love wrestling. It always, I don't know what it is about it. It's just magic to me, and there's nothing could ever be as good as it. But I just want to be remembered as someone that loved wrestling, someone that gave everything for wrestling. Like I said, I was a cripple at a young age. I went to the chiropractor when I was 14, and now my body's even feeling it worse and worse and worse. But I just like, I used to always have the mentality that my body is here to serve me, and you know what? It'll do what I darn well please. And my body is not so happy with me right now, but I mean, I'm still kicking. I'm still doing like 10 shows a year, and I just want to be remembered as someone that loved wrestling. I loved all the other wrestlers. See, a lot of people don't really realize how highly I think of them because I am shy, and like I also don't want to be someone that goes and seems like a mark and is just like liking every single thing you post. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be a suck up, but in my mind I am, and I'm like, anybody that ever had a match with, whether it was a good match or not, I appreciate you. Anybody that ever helped me, I appreciate you. Anyone that I've just had a good conversation with in the locker room, I appreciate you. But I also want to hear what you guys have to say. If you're a fan, how will you remember me? If you're a wrestler, how will you remember me as well? But also, if you're a wrestler, how would you like your legacy? How would you like to be remembered? If it all ended tomorrow and you didn't want to have any regrets, what would you look back on most the fondest, I don't know if that's the proper word for that, most fondly, and how would you want your legacy to be remembered? Because remember, on the Willow Show, like, or you get a leg drop, comment, or you get a clothesline, subscribe, or you get a suplex. I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I love wrestling, Cuba!